Hi, and welcome to VR for Work. I'm your host, Rick, and it is June 26th, 2020. VR for Work is the place, the show, the production where we talk about how to get the most productivity, efficiency out of your VR headset, how you can use it for collaboration, meetings, education and training, and generally how to work from within VR. We here at VR for work in our VR headset. I put on these productions within VR. I'm talking to you right now within an application called Spaces that I'm running on my laptop through my Oculus Quest headset. And so we're going to go ahead and get set up for our talk today. And we're going to be talking about an application called Engage. Engage is an application that I've come to really enjoy being in, visiting on a regular basis. They've got great content, pre-recorded content in there that you can take advantage of. And it is becoming, I think, rapidly one of the premier spots to visit for training, education, meeting collaboration, and productivity. And so with that, let's take a look. Zoom in on our desktop here, and we're going to get started. So Engage, and this is the icon or the image right off of their website: communicate, teach, learn. So what is Engage? Well, it's really geared towards education, meeting, training, and events. And you might even say that that education item is first and foremost. I believe that the platform was very originated around training and education. And as we take a look at it, you'll see that that really shines forth as we go through our demo. The platform runs in VR, just about any VR headset, and on a PC client, so that you can access Engage also in Flatland on your 2D PC. There are clients for PC VR, Windows Mixed Reality, Oculus Rift and Quest, Vive Focus and Pico. You can do session scheduling in there. So again, you know, if you think about education at the college level, you're going to schedule a class, people are going to show up, they're going to attend your session, and you're going to exchange that training and education. You can host up to 50 users per session. They have a library of 1,200 plus 3D objects. And I think this is one of the great strengths of Engage, is that they've been around a while and they've continually added to their library of objects and locations, so that there are lots of things in there already for you to take advantage of as you prepare and set up for a particular training session, meeting session, or event. They have over 20 virtual locations, including 360 video. You can media stream into your sessions, and you can create and record content all from within Engage. Very, very powerful platform. And so with that, let's go ahead and get started. Now, after you log in to Engage, you come into this atrium, rather modernistic museum-like atrium, and in front of you is this wall that will become very familiar to you, because as you go through Engage, your menu that you access to manipulate things is essentially a tablet that mimics this particular look and feel. So I've logged in, I'm coming in here, and you can see that there's a host of tutorials that are available to you right on your welcome screen, and then 6 buttons over here on your left. We're going to go into each one of those, and then a short overview of your controls right down here. And I'm in here on a Quest. It kind of has identified that, so it gives me my Quest controllers, and you can see. And if you're in VR, familiar with controls at all, these mimic and are becoming very standard. You know, free roam movement using your left joystick. You've got the menu on your right A button, turning on your right joystick, teleporting on your B button. I might have this backwards, but you get what I mean. And then your trigger to point and interact. Now, I will say that there's also this concept of the seated mode, because again, you think about it, if the focus is primarily training and education and meetings, there's this idea that you're going to go into an auditorium or to a classroom setting, and you will want to appear seated. There's a host also of teacher or host controls that will plop users into a seated mode anyway. But again, you know, you're going to go into a class, you can say, I'm seated anyway. Perhaps you're sitting in your recliner chair. When you go in, you can say, yep, turn on seated mode. And you will appear that way when you go in. All right, we're going to go back again. We're going to take a quick look. Again, lots of tutorials here. Very good idea to go through these using the menu and the tablet. Virtual seating and teleportation. Select a virtual location. How to record and playback in VR. Showing presentations, showing web pages, showing videos. These are all things that you have the capability to do within Engage as a teacher or a moderator of a meeting. Again, a host of very powerful features. How to work with 3D objects and IFX, setting your height, how to take a photograph while you're in a session. So all of these are quick 1, 2, 3 minute videos. You'll go through that, and in a half hour, you'll have a complete overview of how to navigate and engage. Okay, so I've picked here join session. Now, one of the things when you go into Engage is that they have many pre-recorded sessions that are available, and also this particular item is gets you into any live sessions that might be open to the public that you can join, right? So there could be a public open session that if it were listed here, the moment that I happen to record this, I would be able to join. Now I clicked on events, right? And events are now listed that again, I can see a schedule of what the description of the particular meeting, how many people are in it, and then along the right, whether a password's required, if there's any special accommodations that I might need to be aware of in order to attend that session. And you can see menu at the bottom. You can scroll through these pages, and I'm just going to flip through a few here. Here's, you know, one that they have on a regular basis, Exploring Engage. So you can attend that. It's a 1-hour session to get a sense again of how does Engage work, what's the potential for using it, and how might it fit into my particular use case, right? Here's one coming up, mindfulness and XR collaboration. So lots of things that you can go in and just peruse and find that you might want to attend on your own. Starting a session. So if you're going in and you're going to have a meeting, you're going to meet some folks, and you're going to start a meeting, a training, seminar, whatever, you can go in and load a location, right? And we'll like flip through these, but you can see that there are, I believe at the beginning I said 20, but I would say that there's well over 20. There's at least 20 that I would say are free. And if you look at some of these, you can see that there's a mountain home, a high-rise loft, a conference hall, a lecture hall, 360 video room. This was something that I got to experience during the Engage orientation, where they actually bring you into a 360 video, and you're actually experiencing that as the room you're in. Okay, the Martian Surface, a theater, the Oxford Library, a sandy beach, a space hub, a coffee shop, a gallery. The galleries are actually very neat places to have meetings. One of my favorites coming up here, the Titanic Gallery, where you can actually wander through and see the story of and 3D images from the Titanic and the video that they've shot of the sunken ship on the bottom of the ocean. But you can go to the Apollo moon landings. These are all locations that you can land in and actually have a meeting or a classroom in with other folks. Now, as we get further along here, right, what you'll start to see is you'll see a little badge now show up. And you probably can't see this on your video, but it says Pro. And we'll get into the pricing structure and how this all works later. But after about 4 or 5 pages in, these locations, these 3D settings, get into a scale where you have to pay to use some of them. But again, there's at least 20, if not more, that you can go into absolutely free. So you can choose an option. Is it just me that's going in, or will I be meeting with others? And in a particular case, this case during the demo, I just picked just me, and I'm actually going kind of into what they called the shallow waters. So what I was imagining, because I do VR occasionally with my grandkids, is actually taking them in under the water and actually talking to them about what it's like. And okay, and now I'm bringing up the tablet or the interface that you have while you're in these locations and during a meeting. So if you're running a meeting, you have access to all these features and functions. So I can bring in IFX, and what I try unsuccessfully to do here is when I had run through this the first time, I had flipped through here and actually found a 3D replica of a shark. And I brought that in. I said, oh, well, this is cool. I have to do it for the demo. And of course I get in here and I'm fumbling around a bit to bring it in. But the point remains is that you have 1,200 3D models that you can utilize in your sessions, whether again, it's training or meeting to bring in I work in healthcare. This could be in a hospital emergency room environment, and I could be bringing in a stretcher, right? We could be on the Martian surface and I could have a classroom full of kids and talk about what it would be like on Mars. The idea is that you can, being in these environments and sharing it with other people, sharing it with students or colleagues, puts you in this mindfulness or this mindset of being able to really relate and understand to the topic that you're talking about. And now some of the controls up top, you can see I can change my locations. I can bring in content or 3D objects. I can bring in media. Perhaps I could bring in a video of a shark. I could record the session that I'm in. I could develop forms. I could take notes. And I can manage up here in the upper right-hand corner, manage. And so the idea that you might get is if you are doing a classroom, and let's say you have 10 middle schoolers who happen to be in here with you at the time, and you're trying to get a point across to them and they're swimming around the ocean, right? You could invoke this manage and bring everybody into you so that they can attend to what you're trying to tell them. And so that's the general sense, the general idea of that manage feature. Okay. And again, could make a new recording, load a recording. I'm going to close and go ahead and we'll get out of this particular session and go to another part of the demo. So again, all these environments available for you to, if you decided you wanted to have a board of directors meeting on the beach, everybody could join you there on the beach. And this takes you back out here. And then again, you can load content. So these are pre-recorded sessions. And I'll go into Engage once or twice a week and just look at the pre-recorded sessions. And it happened to be that when I was recording this, I actually came across a session that I was interested in watching that HTC had given, and it's called Realizing the Boundless Future, featuring a special guest, and that was Alan Furness. And I wanted to hear this, and so I figured, well, I'll do a little bit of it in the demo. And again, hopefully you get a sense of how powerful this is, because I'm going to start and join this session, and it's going to start up, and it initially you kind of get dumped into a outdoor auditorium forum that looks like you're by yourself. Again, it's just loading up the 3D environment that this was recorded in. But if you just give it just a few seconds more, what you'll see is that I'm actually in the session that was recorded here, like I was there, like 100% in 3D, sitting in the audience here. Okay, and I'm just kind of showing you. You can see it's loading the content, so it's bringing in all that 3D content. And in just a moment, you'll see it pop in. And here I am. So I'm actually now taking part in this recorded session, sitting in the audience, listening to the speakers with other people, other avatars, with the show going on. And it was really unique. It was like reliving a live event live, even though it was recorded. Does that make sense? All right, so I'm bringing up my menu, and I got out of that. I would have loved to have stayed and listened. I went back later to finish it. But that just gives you a sense of the power, again, that's there in Engage. All right, let me get up here in the event. And again, we'll get out of here. And I'm going to end this session. And back to our main menu. Okay, main menu. There it is. Okay, so again, joining sessions, starting a session, reviewing content that exists, creating your own sessions. I'm going to click here, avatar creation, pretty standard stuff. Again, if you're familiar with being in these VR environments. Again, events, you can kind of get to events in a couple of different ways, from events or joining a session. And that kind of gives you a broad overview of Engage. Like I said, one of my favorite environments. Now, as far as pricing, I said we would get to this, right? There's 3 tiers that Engage currently offers. Light is free. We're going to go over some of the details of each of these in a minute. Basic version to try out, all the features. I'm on free. I've been on free for months and months. You never kind of lose your access, and you get access to a good number of features, but there's certainly a pro and an enterprise level that gives you a lot more functionality. And so if we go into some of these things that differentiate the different levels, right? At the pro and enterprise level, right, you can create and sell pre-recorded content, meaning I could go in there, create 3D VR content, perhaps give talks and sessions that I could then put out for people to lease for use. I'm using the Engage environment, but I'm selling my production and content as a part of my membership. You can have private sessions that don't show up in that public list, that are specific for your particular clientele. You can create events, meetings, and classes of different sizes depending on the tiers. So if you're pro, you can go up to 30. If you're enterprise, you can go up to 50. The number of hosts you can have per session. If I go in at the beginner or the lowest level membership, and I put a session out there and 20 of you come to it, I'm not able to share hosting duties. So I have to put on the presentation as well as host the event. As you get into pro and then enterprise, you can have more and more hosts so that you can have moderators in your session. The number of effects within your library that you can access increases with the various levels. The number of locations, as you recall, we looked at those locations, and after about 20, the other locations that showed up were at the pro level and beyond. So some of those specialized locations that might be utilized, for instance, one of them, again, me being in healthcare, they had a ER room, and they had an operating room, and they had a patient room, with the idea that content could be created around those environments. Avatar face generator, being able to stream website content into your room, being able to create content within Engage using Engage tools, session settings and controls, form creation and delivery, uploading of 3D models. All of these things vary at the different levels of membership. So it will be certainly something you would want to check out, Light, Pro, and Enterprise, depending on your specific needs for these specific features. And Engage is also now partnered very tightly with HTC and is going to be part of the Vive XR Suite. We posted an article, or actually a couple of articles, about HTC announcing the Vive XR Suite recently, where they're going to be offering a suite of products for VR, including Vive Sync, which is a product that we gave an overview on the VR for Work site. They're going to do Vive Sessions, which is essentially going to be a packaged version of Engage. So if you think of Vive Sync being for up to meetings for up to 10 to 15 people, Vive Sessions will be in the Engage platform up to 50 people. Vive Campus, they are partnered with Virabella, and that's going to be up to 1,200 people. You're going to have Vive Social, which is, chatting functions for, 2, 4, 5 folks at a time. And then the Vive Museum, which I can't quite figure out how that fits into a business platform. It would seem to me that there would be particularly more value in there being actually a library or an archive of documents or resources that folks might be able to access in a 3D environment. That would be more valuable, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. So our assessment model, consumption of information and ingestion and retention. Again, I can't but imagine that being in those environments, and if I were getting training on an OR process or procedure, and I'm in VR in an OR room doing it, my retention is going to be better. There are many studies that have shown that retention is so much better having a VR experience than it is watching a PowerPoint or reading some policy or procedure. So high marks here. Production, how much can I create and how efficiently can I create it? Again, different type of production than we might use something like Immersed for or vSpatial for. I can go in here and I can create classrooms, and I can bring in content, and I can create with the Engage tool set, which we're not able to show you. So kind of a question mark here, but again, I think being able, if you define that as being able to set up and present content in an effective manner, I think, again, Engage it just can't be beat. The flow and the UI, very simple controls. I think once you get into using the tablet, it gets a little tougher, right? There's a lot of controls and it's a different UI than we've come to get used to with a desktop or an iPad or a phone. So again, it's something to get used to, but I think just like any of those other tools, once you are used to it, you know, obviously with controllers and the UIs that we're building into VR, these things are getting simplified. Social and collaboration is what this is all built around, bringing people together, sharing ideas, thoughts, training, collaboration, that level of work. Again, unbeatable platform. Value, we weren't able to actually share with you actual costs. A lot of this seems to be negotiable with Engage at the moment and based on what your specific demands and needs might be, but well worth checking out. Okay, well, that's the end of our Engage overview. We really thank you for joining us today, and I'd like to end with a quote. Today's quote is by Francine J. My goal is no longer to get more done, but rather to have less to do. And the more efficient and effective we can be with our tool sets within VR, the more we can have to do those creative and emotionally grounded things, being with family and friends, than with work. So that's a good one. And with that, I want to thank you for being with us today. We hope you will come back and join us again here at VR for Work. Bye now.